we discuss all shares and everything, but we need to take into account certain scenarios where we never talked about, and these can influence the inheritance that we calculate. Now, first of all, let's talk about general thing. We also touched upon this last time. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his inheritance. What was his inheritance? How much money did he leave? Did he leave any money behind? First of all, Rasulullah, did he have any property? Did he have any wealth? No. Actually, he was the owner of few things. He had a piece of land that he used to own, and a rental income probably used to come out from it. So he had a lot of assets. He had sword, he had armors and everything. So those had value in that time. So when he passed away, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was time to distribute the money, inheritance. So Fatima, radiallahu anha, she came, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and said, "I want my share. I'm the daughter." How much would she get, basically? Daughter would get probably. She was the only daughter alive at that time, right? All the other three daughters passed away, so she would get half. She would get half. So. But yeah, so when she came to the Khalifa at that time, who was the Khalifa at that time? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and she said, "I want half of that share, of half of that wealth of my father." So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he said that, "No, your father is a special case. Your father is a prophet." And he told me, I am aware of the hadith wherein he said, and by the way, this hadith is also in Sahih Bukhari, he said, "My offspring, my children may not divide even 1 dinar of my inheritance after me. And after my wife's support and successors' expenses, everything that I leave will be for charity. Everything goes for sadaqah." So that's what Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu did. He got hold of all his properties, and that became part of the Baytul Mal, the general property of the whole state, the Islamic state. So Fatima radiallahu anha, she was not aware of this hadith, and then she agreed with him, and then nothing was given. Obviously the support that Rasulullah sallallahu mentioned was given to the wife, but that was not inheritance, that was general expenses. Okay, so that was taken care by that case. Conversion to Islam. This is again a special case. So if we have a Muslim brother who died, for example, right? If he had non-Muslim relatives, non-Muslim father or non-Muslim son, what do we do? Do we give that person inheritance?
No.
So we said last time that non-Muslims do not inherit from Muslims. They can inherit from within same religion, and the same thing also applies. A Muslim cannot inherit from a non-Muslim deceased person. But now, for example, a person died, and then his non-Muslim son comes in and says, "I want my inheritance." So we tell him that, "Brother, you're not a Muslim, so we cannot give you inheritance." So what he says, "Oh, you know what, I'll become a Muslim. Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah." Wallahu a'lam. Maybe he's greedy for money, whatever the reason. He said, "I will accept Islam." Or maybe he was saying, "I was thinking about it, now it's a good time, maybe I'll accept Islam." So should we give him money at that moment?
Islam allow that?
That's the question, yeah. What should we do? Should we give or should we not give?
Yes.
So the scholars differed about it, but according to Imam Ahmad, if according to Imam Ahmad, he said, if other relatives who are supposed to get inheritance, if they all agree, then okay, we can give, because he's taking away from their share, right? So if they all agree, it's okay. But all other imams, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, they said no, he cannot take advantage of the situation to close the loophole and everything. So wallahu alam. But again, there is something that we need to just think about. This happens many times in this country. People don't really follow their religion very carefully. But again, we have to understand that money-wise, we might not give him any share, but we will consider him as a Muslim because he said kalima shahada, right? Shahadu la ilaha illallah. So we will treat him as our brother, and if he gets harmed, we will take care of that. From that perspective, we are going to take care of that. But from the perspective of inheritance, now this is a very problematic part. We have to stick to the rules.
Probably he's a hypocrite.
We don't know. We don't. Yeah, we leave it to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. But we just follow what scholars said. They said that majority said that we do not give him any money. All right. So we'll just leave it at that. Fetus. Now again, this is very important for the sisters specifically. So now the brother died, right? And everybody gets in and says, okay, let's divide everything, whatever fraction and everything. The wife gets the part and everybody gets the part. So wife takes away her share, and then basically she never told other people that she is pregnant, she's going to have a child, there's a fetus in her womb. So should we really consider this coming baby into the picture for inheritance calculation?
I think so.
Or should we just ignore? So the answer is we have to consider. We have to consider. We cannot just rush. We cannot just rush. So we'll wait until whatever that 9-month period is there, and we'll wait until the baby is delivered, and then we will calculate what it is. And the condition here is that what if the baby, for example, had a miscarriage, or the baby died, right? So that happens sometimes. So what should we do?
To wait until that.
So the basic rule is that if the baby cries during delivery, then he will inherit, or he or she will inherit. Okay? If the baby doesn't cry, a stillborn baby, right? In that case, there is no inheritance for that baby. So that's the rule that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned in Sahih Abu Dawud hadith, that if the baby cries, we give them. So, but again, I want you to take it seriously, especially the sisters, that you have to raise your voice. If you see any sister going to have a baby, you have to speak up and say, wait for this baby to deliver, don't rush. Okay? If you divide it un-Islamically, you will be questioned on the Day of Judgment. And we can't even, like, for example, if the father says, I can't wait for your baby to be born, can I have some of my money? Can we give them? We can actually give some money, but we cannot give the whole prescribed share that he's supposed to get, 1/6 share, right? Because we don't know what the baby is going to be. If there's a son born, different rule. Daughter, if it's a daughter, then the whole fractions will change, right? And what if they're twins? Right? If in case of daughters, you have 2 daughters, then the whole fraction will change, right? She'll get 2/3, and probably others will not get anything. So we have to wait until everybody is given their share after the baby is born. Simultaneous deaths. So again, before I even get into that, this is very common in back home. What they do is people say that my father and my mother have died. I have to calculate my inheritance. Now, you just can't mention it like that, because now when your father died, did you calculate inheritance and give it to your mother in the first place? If you didn't, then you're responsible. You should have had done that, because wife gets a share, right? So now, when people say my both the father and mother died, we have to basically look who died first and who died second. So these are 2 separate problems now, 2 separate inheritance problems. If the father died first, we give the wife her share, and when wife dies, whatever money she has, then we will distribute it among her children or whoever is alive. But having said that, what if both people die at the same time? For example, in a car crash or an earthquake or a plane crash, what should we do? So the scholars still say that we should still try to find out who died first. If we are able to determine, that's fine. If we are not able to determine, then both will inherit from each other. That's what they say. So when calculating these shares, you have to make sure that we know who died first, basically. And I have 2 more. A missing person. So you have husband, for example, he is missing. Days pass by, he doesn't show up. What should we do? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. Should we consider him dead, or what should we do? He has a lot of money and shares need to be divided. So this is something that is decided by the Islamic judge, Islamic court system. And in this case, he will determine the situation, evaluate it, and then say, if this person, for example, had family problems or was inclined to suicide or something, then he will rule and that his inheritance can be divided now, because a missing person will be considered dead according to the judge. But usually we are supposed to wait for some time. Usually we are supposed to wait for some time before coming to such conclusions. The same thing, if the person died and if the son is missing, we will wait for him to come until his share is given. So don't jump to conclusion that if somebody is missing, he's dead. And last one, divorce. So a person divorced a wife, and Islamically, when a woman is divorced, they are supposed to wait how much before she can remarry? They are supposed to wait. The iddah period is 3 menses period, menses cycles. So probably like 3 months, right? That's for a regular case. If she is pregnant, her iddah period is until the baby delivers, right? And if she, for example, there are 3-4 scenarios for iddah, but here basically the thing that I want to point out is, wife will be considered a wife until her iddah period ends. Okay, so even if a person has divorced a woman, she's still his wife until the iddah period ends. So she might be in her 2nd month and probably 1 day remaining for her cycle to complete or start. We have to give the whole money to her share, basically. Okay, so that is one thing. But the reason why I put it here as a special case is because there happens sometimes a case where a person, what he does, he says that he gives intentional divorce. Basically, this happened during the time of Sahaba radiallahu anhum. So there was this person. He said he wanted to give more share to his children after he died. He knew that he was gonna die, so he said, you know what, I will divorce my wife. So he goes to his wife and he said, you are divorced. Okay, and he was on his actually deathbed, right? And so what happened? Uthman radiallahu anhu, he was the Khalifa at that time. When he learned about this fact that this person wanted to do injustice, and he just gave divorce because he wanted his children to get more fraction of that shares, Uthman radiallahu anhu, he said that divorce is not acceptable. That divorce is not acceptable because you're trying to find a loophole here. So in Islam, you cannot cheat the system, you cannot beat the system. So he ruled in the favor of the wife, and the wife did receive the share. So intentional divorce, just for the sake of not making them receive their share, that will be not allowed.